I already did one video today, but I'm going to go ahead and unbox the sword. I might not get the actual video up until tomorrow, depending on how interesting it is, but this is sword, what did we say, 27, 28, whatever. It came, it's been sitting here for a while. So let me adjust the camera and, okay. Very exciting. You know, you could say it's not every day that you get a brand new Fake Hercules sword, but for a while there, it actually was almost every day. They've slowed down, but it's still just as funny as it ever was. As an archaeologist, you always want to go very, very carefully here through the paper. May 1st, the Shopper News, Park West. Let's see what city we're in here. News from Fort Sanders Regional Medical Center. What the hell is Fort Sanders? Anyway. I'm curious. I know you guys want to see the sword, but I want to know what's in. Oh, here's scenes from the prom at Hunter Valley Farms. Still don't know what city we're in. Scenes from Catholic High Prom. There's a lot of prom pictures. Tennessee running back Reggie Cobb pulls away from Indiana linebacker Darren Bush. So we're somewhere in the Midwest or Mid-South or something like that. Figure that out later. Another mystery. See if I can get this down there. There we go. All right. It's in its sarcophagus. And now this guy knows how to pack a sword. Drilled a hole in my finger the other day. It's hard to hold on to stuff. I also caught a piece of molten metal right in my eyelid. I'm really lucky it didn't go into my eyeball. If you see me blinking, that's why it feels weird. It's going to scab up above my eye. Okay, are you ready? Well, the color is odd is the first thing before I even look at it. You can see it's brass there by what's rubbed off. I can already tell the detail is pretty good. It's got fullers on it. It's got a shorty pants blade compared to a California sword. Just kind of absorbing it. There's obviously a casting anomaly here where this is filled in. That's pretty thin. There's the Hercules face. Really good detail on the log there, the lion paws, really sharp on the palmette, the lions. So there's some grinding marks on these fullers. And then this would be like the extra blade that was stuck on there. It's a lot shorter than the California sword blade. So let's get the obviously don't have California here anymore. That was a loaner back in the early days of that, but let's get the 3D model up. Okay, here is a blog post where I put up the 3D model of the California sword. Boy, they don't make this super intuitive here, and the lighting on it, you don't have a whole lot of control. Okay, and I want to rotate it so I can get it straight on and it won't let me. You gotta like sneak up on it somehow. Come on, Hercules. Frame. That's a little bit better for seeing details, I think. Okay, well, I'm going to go with what it's going to let me do. Okay. Got the knob, all those lines, his thumb coming up. Looks like he has a crease in his elbow. The new sword does not. Paws look about the same. Beard, the mustache. Lion's head. He is missing, and he doesn't have the eye near as well defined there. And you've lost some detail across the top of the head. And obviously this is all filled in and gunked up. The belt looks actually a little bit crisper on this one. Lion paws. Genitals there. This has some little bumps and stuff in there that are casting anomalies that appear to be missing from here. Palmette, like I said, I feel like the palmette and the lions and stuff are actually more crisp on this one. Got 3 distinct ribs. That's gunked up in there. This one looks the same, but so this has actually added material stuck in there that is not in this one. That actually looks a little bit more detailed than the one on the California sword. Back of the head. Fingers look the same. It's got a strong mold line in it. This one doesn't. Tails. That looks like it kind of, there's extra material there too, or it kind of gets junked in, and those legs don't have as much definition, so these are actually more defined, I think. That one joins up to that lion in the same way that does. There's a little casting defect there above the tail that I don't see there. This has the raised lines on both sides. That looks good. The belt, I think, looks a little bit more defined here. The texture might be a little bit more defined. Interesting. Can we get a side view? This has been ground off a little bit, but that's different. Right there, that detail. I guess my gut instinct is telling me it looks more squared off. You know, there are some places where there are things present on here that are not present on here, and there are things present on here that are not present on there. So that would mean that they share a common ancestor, which also makes sense with the fullered portion of the blade. You know, the common ancestor would have been something that looked like both of these, and then they have 2 different blades on them. I should compare that though to, let me get out the other ones. All right, in terms of size, this is the, whoops, zoom that back? Yeah. This is the Design Toscano sword, so this is the one that's cast iron that you can still buy. So we know the dates on these. They're still making them. This is the one we just got. So you can see the size difference based on everything that we looked at before, blade morphology, details, casting anomalies, size and that sort of thing. We thought the California sword was probably one of the earlier ones with this fullered blade that eventually got removed. Has the best detail, and it was the biggest metrically, which makes sense. Every time you know, the metal when it's molten has more volume, has a greater volume than when it has cooled. So you pour the molten metal into your mold, and the sword that comes out is slightly smaller than the mold. If you then use that sword to make your next mold, then it gets smaller and smaller. So you see this progressive shrinking of size, which is one way that we can track, you know, these different generations through time. Boy, he's got a weird anomaly in the back of the head there. Anyway, so you know, we came up with this standard kind of metric thing there. So I was just going to, without even looking at the California sword ones, I'm going to take my calipers here and look at these distances from F to G. Let's go from A to B. So that was the center of the forehead, point of the forehead between the lion's fangs, point where the lion skin meets the belt. So I'm going to measure between the fangs down to the belt. I get 51.06 millimeters. Let's check the database. Sword 3, so where we are, A to B. Oh, sorry, not that. This is sword 3. Line 4, but sword 3, yeah, California sword. 50.05. And what did I say? 51.06. So just slightly bigger in that dimension if I measured it correctly. This time I got 50.16, 50.5, so very, very close. What about B to C? C is the point where the animal's heels meet. Here we got 85.6. There we're looking at 89.15. So a little bit bigger in that dimension too. D to E, point at the widest extent of left animal's head. So across here, whoops, I'll take it this way. 80.7, here we got 81.3, so a little bit smaller in that dimension, but basically the same size, definitely much bigger than some of the later ones. Comparable in size to the California sword, bigger than other swords, has fullers, belongs somewhere in there. Perhaps the, you know, shares a common ancestor with the California sword. Let's say different blade lengths. It's obviously possible that, you know, an older sword was used to make a new copy. That could be. We have no backstory on this one at all. Definitely brass. Well, you know, I guess I just assumed it's brass. I should get a magnet and make sure. Brass. Does not stick. So there you go. The mystery continues. I will be able to make a 3D scan of this and put it up, and we can do some direct comparisons that way. also. The saga continues.